I suppose to get to the point, Australia, particularly under Scott Morrison's leadership, has actually forged a pretty positive relationship with the Trump administration. So is there a point of difference if we get a Biden-Harris White House?
No, I don't think so. I think the relations are deep and broad between Australia and the United States, and more sophisticated now than arguably they've ever been. Obviously the Five Eyes partnership, intelligence partnership, which involves both Australia and the United States, is a crucial part of that. But that trusted relationship is extending into other areas, obviously defence, but even into supply chains, such as in critical minerals and in healthcare. So I think you will see the relationship between Australia and the US deepen, even if Joe Biden is elected president tomorrow.
And in fact, wouldn't there be some skewing to the upside in the sense that if the relationship between the US and China at least gets back to a calmer level of negotiations, of being able to pick up the phone and have a conversation and maybe a bit of a ceasefire when it comes to the trade war, is there an opportunity here for Australia to get back into Beijing's good books and I guess not be used as much as a punching bag given the relationship with the US?
Look, I don't buy the line that there's no communication between the two presidents, President of China and the President of the United States. In fact, they do talk. But relations are strained because of very aggressive behaviour by China and an aggressive response to that by the United States. It's been very tough for Australia. We have reached out continually over a number of years to Chinese ministers and senior leadership, and they've shunned us for various reasons. They've chosen to try and bully us at times. That's not the China that I knew when I was Treasurer and when I chaired the G20 and helped China with its chairing of the G20. Sadly, they've become far more aggressive. Their diplomats have become far more aggressive. And as a result, people are pushing back, and Australia is one of many countries that is pushing back. And that won't change under Joe Biden, by the way. The one major issue that is genuinely bipartisan here in Washington, D.C. is the distrust of China and the determination to take on China. Just have a look at what people are saying during the rallies by both Biden and Trump.
So when you were Treasurer then, Ambassador Hockey, the relationship, the bilateral relationship between Canberra and Beijing could be seen at an all-time high. There was an FDA, there was a state visit by President Xi. Has the pushback under the current government been miscalculated given the growing list of exports that are being targeted by Beijing?
Well, the government had to make a decision about whether they would allow Huawei into Australia's 5G, and they made a decision on the basis of the national interest. That was under Malcolm Turnbull. We made decisions that were in the national interest about access to critical infrastructure, not just by China, but you will remember that I knocked back a foreign investment application by AWB for GrainCorp. And that was on the basis of national interest. So we have genuinely taken a national interest approach, and not a national approach, but a national interest approach to foreign investment. Unfortunately, China saw it as a slight against them, took it the wrong way, overplayed their hand, and as a result, seem to think that everything we do and say is anti-China. That couldn't be further from the truth. But regrettably, China's just taking this action, and it really is immature action in relation to lobsters or in relation to wine exports. It's just not the behaviour of a great power, nor is it the behaviour of a fitting partner.
Barley, coal, beef, cotton, aside from the ones that you already mentioned. So really not a lot that's left. How does Australia...
There's a bit left. Don't worry, there's quite a bit left, including what they really need,
iron ore, which is your biggest export and the most important for your economy. So how do you mend this relationship?
Well, it's going to be a two-way determination to mend it. And I know Australia continues to keep an open door for ministerial visits and ministerial engagement. The problem is China just doesn't want to talk. Instead, they just react aggressively and try to bully us. And bullying never works with Australia. It doesn't work with many countries. And it's certainly not working with the United States. And I can say emphatically that China will do itself tremendous harm if it continues down this path. The coronavirus is something, the only thing arguably in the history of humanity that has taken one country into every single room of every home in the world. And the coronavirus took China into every single home in the world. Now, it's been horrible. I don't particularly blame China for it, but a bit of humility along the way would have helped China manage some of the aggressive responses by various countries. And just a bit of humility on the international stage would go a very long way for China. I want China to succeed. I mean, China's a great story. It is the greatest transformation in the lives of the most number of people in the history of humanity. And I recognise that, and many people recognise that. They've done an amazing job pulling people out of poverty on a scale that was, absolutely inconceivable. But along the way, if they truly want to be a great power, the only way to continue to be a great power is to be humble with your power, not to be aggressive and punitive and immature in your deployment of it.
Well, in that regard, hasn't the United States in the past few years taken that very isolationist approach as well, sort of really putting aside some of their traditional alliances? In that sense, could a Biden presidency really bring back the strength of multilateralism and perhaps aid Australia's relationship with trying to push back against China as well?
Yeah, there's no doubt that there will be a greater focus on multilateral relationships if Joe Biden is elected. And of course, some of the language will change as well. But be very careful about over-interpreting any positive signals in relation to China. I mean, I've been watching the rallies carefully. I've been watching the words. And Joe Biden is saying that Donald Trump is weak on China. He's been saying that. I mean, emphatically he's saying that. And don't forget, if he's elected, he'll be trying to reach out to those working class Trump voters to try and bring them back into the Democrat fold. So please don't anticipate that there's going to be any dramatic improvement at all in the relationship between the US and China if there is a change in the next 24 hours.